All right, so Sandy, here's the deal. Every week I have the guest host choose which of my cool story bros I tell. And let's see, which titles do I want to throw at you? Woody Saves 130 Lives. That one's not as good as it sounds. Woody's Adventure in Poverty. My Worst Beating Ever. And my personal favorite, Woody's Testicular Torsion.
What was the third one? Your worst beating?
Yes.
Like a physical beating?
Absolutely.
I gotta hear it.
Oh, fuck. No one picks Testicular Torsion.
I don't want to hear that.
It's better than you might guess. So I'm still
I ain't
like...
trying to stop you, Woody. I think you've told this one before.
You've told us one before.
Awesome.
Should I switch it to testicular, whatever?
Yeah. All right, let's do that. Thank you. I told that one already. You want to do the Testicular Torsion one?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I'm 15 years old. I'm sitting in biology class, and my balls hurt, right? That's where I am on this thing. And, you know, whatever, jeans are too tight. Sometimes you got to adjust and fix this. But whatever, you know, moving around and dealing with this is not solving my problem. And,
I'm starting to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to break out into a sweat at this point.
So
and it's kind of escalating, the pain I have in my nut. So so I walk up to my biology teacher and I tell her that that I need to go to the nurse. And she was kind of a stickler. She didn't let anyone go. But I was pale and sweaty. And she's like, yeah, you can go. You don't look good. So the nurse was fairly hot. And I get down there and I'm like, you know, my testicle hurts. This doesn't seem right. And I'm secretly hoping for an exam from from this woman, but that's not how it actually went down. How it actually went down is she got the gym teacher, and this guy comes along. He's like a 250-pound musclehead, and he grabs a nut and he's like, "I'm not a doctor, but that's not right. That thing is too hard." And so they were kind of considerate of it because I'm nervous about this getting out to the entire school, and they plan it so that it's not between classes, like where everyone's sort of traveling. Everyone's in the classroom, and they have an ambulance back up right to the nurse's office and sort of scuttle me from the nurse's office to the hospital. And at this point, I'm moaning and complaining and just letting everyone know about the pain I'm in like a bitch. I'm just like it hurt a lot, and I didn't make any effort to hide that. And it turned out to be a good thing because I got some real good attention. They put some sort of like ink in my blood, like radioactive thing, and they could tell the blood flow. And my nut wasn't getting the blood flow that it should have. So apparently your testicles attached to your scrotum by some like spider web type of thing, and I didn't have that. And so it's spinning inside the scrotum, and the one of the cords that gives it blood flow.
Everybody else getting paid for this.
And the blood flow's not getting to it, so that's the deal. So they quick schedule this surgery where they slice my scrotum down the middle and untwist it. And in this, any like modesty I could have possibly had is gone. My mom is looking at my 15-year-old nutsack and like, oh yeah, it looks tightened up. I don't know. Yeah. And doctors and nurses and teams of 8 are examining me over the next couple of days. So I probably only missed like 4 days of school, but with the weekend in there, I had a good 6 days of rest, and then I had to go back to school. And when you're healing, there's like some gauze you put on the thing to deal with stitches like you would anything else, I guess. And so I'm back at school, and I had to wear sweatpants because you can't like pack that baby in. You got to give it a little room to breathe while you're getting better. And just the way the gauze kind of like propped everything up, I was looking hung, and I had sweatpants on. And I would strut through the halls of my high school like a peacock with my cock out. I would just like, I remember girls looking at my package as I walked down the hall because it was so pronounced. It was kind of like stuffing a sock underneath it because of the like bandaging around it. And and I was rocking the big boy there. And eventually got better. I was nervous about fertility for a little while, but I've had a couple kids since then without much trouble. And I'm good to go.
Woody, that story just made me so uncomfortable I can't tell you. I feel like That's awful.
It happens, man. Had a twisted nut and pranced around school like a peacock with my cock out.
So once I told the cool story, bro, about the testicular torsion. I know Kyle loves to hear it, so I'm going to tell it
I'll
again.
turn off my mic.
In
Whoa,
shortened
whoa.
version. Turning off your mic doesn't stop you from hearing things.
It does if I turn off the part that you come out of.
That's your speakers. But all right. So here's the deal.
I thought Woody was about to talk about how his mercy-killing eating diet was going to work again.
No. Here, let me tell it super fast. I was in 10th grade, biology class. My balls hurt, and I ended up getting rushed to the hospital. I guess it's called a vas deferens, but I'm not really sure. The testicle like twisted on it, and it kinked it up like a garden hose. There was no blood flow. They went in, operated, unkinked it, whatever. So I told the story in a lot more detail. Eventually, when they got to it, they said it was black. I had a black testicle inside that it was like dying. But it pinked right up. I've had 2 kids. We're good to go. So that's the super fast version of...
Why do we need that story again?
Why?
I'll tell you
Really?
why. And here it comes. So a guy wrote me on YouTube, and I don't even read all my messages anymore. It's overwhelming. But I caught this one. I think he titled it Testicular Torsion, and now I'm going to get 10,000 messages with Testicular Torsion as the title. But it made me click on it, and he said that the same thing happened to him. But I guess he was at home, and me telling my story and like making him aware of the fact that this is a deal gave him sort of the made him willing to talk to his parents about it and say, look, Mom, Dad, something's going on here, and I think that I need to go to the hospital. And he did, and now he's going to be okay, and he's going to have children. And it was like, wow, something really good came out of that story. And there's one more fertile guy out there because he sort of self-diagnosed, talked to his parents, got it fixed in time, and he's off to the races. So I don't know, it made me feel good. The way he wrote it, he was like, because of the story that you told, I had the courage and the initiative to go tell my parents to if I needed help with this. So yeah.
See, I never play around with that shit. If it's something to do with my dick or my balls, and I think something is like growing on it that shouldn't be there, I try to show anybody that's willing to look. Like, is this right? Because it brings great joy to me, that little area of my body. And
yeah, when I was at the nurse's office in the high school that I went to, I thought the nurse was going to fondle my balls. Now I'm like 15 at this point, and this was going to be a really good day for me, but that's not how it went down. She went and got the gym teacher, and he grabbed him, and he's like, I'm no doctor, but this isn't right. And that's when they called the hospital. But yeah, the nurse didn't come through for me.
Yeah, this makes me very uncomfortable.
But
I
the
took my headset off.
16-year-old bed trolls.
Yeah, I took my headset off when you told the story. That was...
Hey Woody, I need help with this problem, even if it isn't on Mail Monday, so please help. I'm a 15-year-old boy, and I'm not sexually active with other people, but I do masturbate. I've recently had a series of very sharp pains in my right testicular sac. It has kept me from concentrating on school, work, and other activities. I went to the doctor, and he gave me medicine to help out with the pain, but it still hurts. I'm sort of scared about my future because I don't know if I'll be fertile or not, and I want to have a family someday. I just want some advice from you, Woody, to help me get through this, and thank you for your time. Thanks. Oh, medical advice. So I'm always nervous about giving out medical advice because the extent of my training is watching ER and television. But let's go for this anyway, and it's going to end with go see a doctor. Here's the deal. Testicular infection is pretty darn rare. I've never even heard of that. No, I'm not a doctor. And a testicular infection for someone who's never had sex, I would guess, is even more rare. That's where I'm coming from on this. On the other hand, testicular torsion fits just about all your symptoms. It's more common on the right side. It starts with about either infancy or in the onset of puberty, which is, you're 15, so that's about where you are. And it's a sharp pain, and sometimes it comes and goes until it can eventually lead into a really severe pain and infertility in one testicle, which is not, infertility hardcore, but you know, it's not what you want either. You know, it can make it a little more difficult for you to have a baby. You could lose a testicle, which is a cosmetic thing going on there. So, yeah, I think, kind of like the other guy, that this is not a situation where you should just be, you know, letting it slide. You've got, in my amateur opinion, every classical symptom of a testicular torsion, which, I should tell you what that is. Your testicle can kind of move in the scrotum there, and when it twists, the vein that supplies it the blood that it needs to do its job gets clogged, kind of like a garden hose, right? You can kink it. If you twist it, the water doesn't flow like it's supposed to. That seems like what you may have going on. So I don't think that you just take a pain med and hope it works out. I think you go to a doctor and say, is it possible? And they can test for this sort of thing now. It's easy to do. And get that done. Tell your mom. Trust me, she'll respect your privacy and make sure that you're healthy and ready to go for when the time comes to start a family. Best of luck. Have I ever told you this? Like, so you know I had that testicular torsion at 15 years old, right?
Yes, I do. You told me that.
And so at 15 years old,
I have no idea where the story's going.
all right. At 15 years old, I had a testicular torsion, which is, if you guys have no idea, if you never heard my videos about it before, it's like this pain in your testicle. It's really bad. It turns out that it's twisted because I guess the vas deferens holds it in place or something. And mine was longer than normal, so they had to like stitch it in place so that it wouldn't twist
Longer
around
than
anymore.
Normal.
Yeah, that's how it happened. So anyway. Where was I? So during the healing process on this, I had to wear like sweatpants, right?
Uh-huh.
And because there was, you know, it was the location of my little surgical procedure there, it had like gauze under it. So basically,
Oh God.
yeah. So
I'm picturing this.
I'm wearing sweatpants, and then they take gauze and put it like, you know, under the package, and it just like lifts and fills out the whole package, right? like it's not quite stuffing a sock down your pants, because like that in theory goes like in front of it, I suppose. This is more like, you know,
Presenting it on a platter.
yeah, buffing it from behind a little bit. And like I walked around high school proud as a peacock, baby. I was
God.
like, you know, yeah, I am big peepee man, and I rock this with pride.
Oh my
That's-
God. I've heard you said big peepee man.
That's, you came up with that line when I was a lifeguard because of the shorts I wore, the way that they hung on me.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
no,
never remember.
I got it from you, not and vice versa. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So and
so you're really thinking of reenacting that.
somehow-
I can get gauze.
somehow this high school experience of me walking around with giant junk in my sweatpants reminded me of how you're suggesting we mentally torture Hope with the cod piece and yoga pants.
Oh God, that would be so funny.
We're not fit to be parents.
No,
I have to laugh whenever I hear you talk about your torsion testicle. Wife Wednesday was awesome, and I can totally relate, as I had the same experience. Basically, I had the surgery twice, once on each side. The first was in 4th grade for a testicle that hadn't descended. The second was in 8th grade for a torsion. If you want to talk about ridicule, try experiencing that in 8th grade. My friends were relentless. I remember vividly the 3 weeks I spent walking the halls in sweats with my legs spread like I just got off a horse, or better yet, like I crapped my pants. The reason was because if I did not, the little ends of the stitches would catch and tug on my irritated scrotum with every step. To this day, whenever I run into my old friends, the subject always seems to come up. This guy's awesome. I just love the imagery of him walking around like a Daffy Duck cowboy or something like. I don't know. Does anyone else like this guy? I like this guy. But back on topic, the reason I chose this letter is it was an opportunity to talk about like controlling the engagement. Woody, why does my left testicle is kind of hurting? I didn't hit myself. All right, grammar aside, dude, this could be a real issue. Like, this is no joke. If your testicle hurts, it's not supposed to, and it can be a testicular torsion, and it attacks the left one more often than the right. What the deal is you got your junk hanging there, and if it twists inside your sac, your scrotum, then it can cut off like the blood supply to it. If it hurts like that, then it can be that you have like a genuine medical issue that you need to have sorted out. You know, it seems like a silly question for this series. It's not what it's supposed to be about, but I didn't want to ignore your question because, you know, for all I know, you're going to have like a serious medical emergency that I know a little bit about. So, dude, if your left testicle hurts, if any testicle hurts is an issue, if your left one hurts especially, don't just ignore that. You know, you might want to see a doctor if this is actually a painful thing.
I haven't had fake boobs, but I have had this testicular torsion surgery when I was 15. And even...
Same thing.
What?
Yeah. I was sitting
What happened with your balls that you needed to untwist your balls surgically?
So a lot of people have heard this before. So in fast forward, Kyle took his headset up. In fast forward, I guess, I don't know if it's your vas deferens or whatever, but there's some sort of like tube that holds your testicle, and mine was longer than normal. So it allowed the testicle to turn up. And I'm sitting there in biology class in 10th grade, and it hurts. Like, it hurts like a bunch. And I felt my jeans were too tight or something, so I kept like pulling them down and giving myself a little more breathing room, and it's not resolving the problem. So so I go to the nurse, and I'm like, you know, my testicles really hurt. Like, you know, one of my testicles is a lot of pain. And the nurse didn't want to, like, you know.
Props for you for going to the school nurse. I would have been like, look, you need to let me call my mom so I can, like, have the pediatrician talk to me about this one.
I mean, like, props maybe, but it hurt a lot. Like, I was getting a little concerned. And the nurse didn't want to like cup them and check it out. So she got, I think, a gym teacher over who may have had some sort of first aid training.
Coach Paterno, over here.
Pretty much, yeah. So
Cup Woody's balls.
The gym teacher comes over and I drop them, and he touches them, and he's like, you know, like he's like, look, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but there's something going on. And we need to get this guy.
Let's get Sandusky over here. He'll know what to do.
Oh shit!
Make some like gym teacher pun, like that's no dodgeball, and then just send you to the hospital.
And at this point, I'm like moaning and stuff, like I'm in pain. And they're like, you know what? It's between classes right now. We can get you on a stretcher and into an ambulance, nearly privately. You know, if we just fucking get on the ball, presto. And that's what they did. They got the ambulance there. Nobody even knew. And we're headed across, like, it's hard to describe it, but like this road that's on a bridge at 45 mile an hour limit, we're going like 80. And I'm like in the back, like moaning and like, oh God, like, you know, and I'm like, can you go faster? Cause I'm looking for some relief from this. And the passenger's like, yeah, you know, dude, can you go faster? And he's like, I'm going 80. Like it's pretty quick for an ambulance in a 45. Like, it's not like maneuverable. And, we get there, and I'm in the emergency room, right? And we're all separated pretty much just by curtains, you know? Like, there's a lot. It's like a big room with just curtains dividing everything up. And I'm like the noisy one. And my father, he's like, they're taking care of you first. Keep it up. You know? Because like you can walk in there with a broken arm, and if you're like, oh, dude, it's chill, you know, then they're like, all right, you know, but this guy over here, we don't know what the scoop is. And they wheel me into a room that says nuclear medicine on it, which, like, this is like the early 90s.
I've seen that room. I always think, like, I want to go in there. Maybe I'll come out fucking supercharged. I'm going to get up in there. I don't need that shielding. Don't give me that lead vest. I just want to hide behind the machinery.
Prior to that, my calves were like toothpicks. Yeah. And so they wheeled me into the nuclear medicine thing, and I guess they injected my, like, circulatory system with something.
See, I'm gonna want some of that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, inject me with something
in there, man.
and then they're able to, like, I guess, blast me in some way, and they can just see where the blood's flowing. And
I like it.
It's not flowing to my balls like it's
sort of a Hulk type thing.
Yeah,
sort of.
And
so like, there's something wrong with your balls, Woody. We gotta.
Yeah, well,
I thought it was something cool, like you had like done a kickflip and like the skateboard had like twisted your nuts.
You know how you seal up some bread when you're really
exactly
and you want to eat your sandwich and you're just like twist. That's what happened to his balls.
That's all I thought.
He almost got castrated, self-castration. It sounds like
they went in there and they sliced right down the sack, and I forget.
don't know what color he said they were. It was gray or dark gray or grack or what, or black or something.
I think they're supposed to be, right?
Yeah, he's like, it wasn't good. You know, he's like, we saw these things, and he just sort of unspun them in place. And he's like, immediately they pinkened up. Like, he was very pleased with the reaction to being unspun.
Like, those are some healthy testes right there, boys.
Yeah, and he's like, I think we're going to be okay here. And by like day 2, I think I spent 2 nights in the hospital. He was just like, dude, it's good to be 15. Like, you were bouncing back. Even your stitches heal quicker. Like, everything was good. And, I was worried about my fertility, but those questions were later answered.
Hey.
And that's it. I actually have a couple stitches that hold my testicles in place right now for life that stop it from ever happening again.
I want to get that as a preventative measure.
You can touch mine and see if you like them. If you feel just right, you're like, oh yeah, there's the stitch.
I'm telling you, it is a real upgrade.
Yeah.
Stitch ball sacks.
Jesus fucking Christ, I hate that story. Every time you tell it, I just want to check the fuck out. Every single time. Because it just sounds like the most aching. I know what it felt like. I know it sounds silly, but I know what it felt like. I'm imagining a dull, aching pain that goes like from testicles to like belly button.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way wide, and it just hurts, and you can't even nail down exactly where it hurts because so much stuff is hurting in that area, and it's just excruciating.
You're crushing
like
it. That's exactly what it's like. And we probably all felt that, but it goes away in like, what? Seconds. Like even 30 seconds is weird. You see it in UFC fighters a lot. Like they get kicked in the balls, and then they're like, can you still fight? And 30 seconds later, he's not even like, should I go back? Like, I'm kind of at 100%, but mine lasted for hours. And that's the
thank you, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't get on that. We were talking about titties and whores and having a good old time.
Oh, here's the deal. When I was 15, I'll tell it in fact, it's been like 200 episodes, but here's what happened. I'm sitting in biology class. My jeans are probably too tight. Not because I like them that way, because I'm going to growth spurt. And my balls hurt. They hurt a lot. And I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to get more comfortable, but I think nothing I could do seems to relieve like this tension and this problem that I'm having. I go to the teacher and I say, can I go to the nurse? And this teacher was kind of a hard ass about sending you to the nurse, but she sees me, I'm pale as a ghost, beads of sweat pouring down my face, and she like makes a classroom example. Like, you know what? Look at him. If you look like this, I'll send you to the nurse. So I go down to the nurse, and I explain to her, like, dude, my testicle's in a lot of pain. Like, I don't know what the scoop is with this, but that's where I am. And the nurse is a woman, and she doesn't want to, like, check it out herself. So she gets a gym teacher.
What?
I'm sorry. This story really...
That's her job.
You're all going to go?
I'll be right back.
Ah, pussies. So she gets the gym teacher. The gym teacher kind of cups it, and he's like, I don't know what's going on here, but there's nothing normal about this, you know? So they call an ambulance, and thankfully, to their credit, these adults were somewhat socially aware. They literally timed the ambulance so it would come between classes. Like at this school, the way the classes work, there were these half periods. There were classes changes every like 18 minutes. And they like strategically got the ambulance in and out such that like the whole world wouldn't see me and have questions. So we get in the ambulance, we zoom to the hospital, and I'm in the emergency room, and I'm like, am I like faking? Because I'm really like moaning and playing up the pain, but I'm in a lot of pain. And my father at one point was like, good, you got this, because they're all giving me like first attention. I'm like butting in front of all the other patients, and thankfully they did, because this is time sensitive. You've got something essentially choking, and what it is your testicle spins in place, which is why I thought that they could do that. And I guess whatever held mine in place was longer than traditional. And he said that when he unspun it, they pinkened right up, and it's wonderful to be 15. And and then they give you a stitch, which you could feel right now if you were so inclined. So I have an internal stitch holding my testicle in place so that it never happens again. And the other one was like a little turned, but not choked. So he gave me a stitch in that too, just for good measure.
So is one of your balls just always attached to like the wall of your scrotum? Like just like
Both of them are, but I don't really know any different. Like both of them are held in place. Yeah, and it's been like that since I was 15. So I don't really have like, and you know me and puberty. That at 15 was just the beginning. so like I don't really have like a long like post puberty. Like I don't really know what
happened now, and then you could feel the difference after for the rest of your life.
Like if it happened to me at 24, I'd be like, oh, this is what normal balls are like, and this is what like they're not like. But it happened to me at 15, and Wolf probably doesn't know, but I was like, no hair on my legs, no armpits, no muscles, no anything. At 15, I could pass for 12. So I don't really have a lot of like post-puberty testicle experience. I only have my bionic balls to go by. Wow. I had a similar experience. I've told the story before, but it's been like 300 episodes, so I'll tell it again. I had a testicular torsion, and it started out like this. So I was in 10th grade, sitting in biology class, and the teacher was like she was a real ball buster. That just term came to my head. And she wasn't the sort to like let you go to the bathroom during class or whatever. And I think in that same class, someone asked if they could go to the nurse, and they got rejected. She just eyeballed him, determined that he wasn't sick enough, and that go back, take your seat.
What a
bitch! That's just how she was. Like she didn't take any shit. She was kind of strict that way, and the students didn't like her. Someone actually put super glue in a contact lens once, but that's a whole other story. With me,
whoa, that would suck. You fucking blind someone. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, she was fucking their teacher as well. Anyway, I was sitting in class and I had pain in my one testicle, and I thought my jeans were too tight, which would happen as you're growing and stuff. The clothes don't fit well. And I'm just like adjusting and trying to fix it, and it's just getting worse, and I'm getting hot, and I'm sweating, and I'm just like, it does. If I'm in pain, I've got one testicle in particular, and it's in pain, and I don't like it. So I eventually go to the teacher, and I ask if I can go to the nurse. And I'm like standing mostly upright, but like a little posture incorrect. And I'm pale white, and I'm sweating, just beads of sweat coming off of my face. And she presents me as like an example to the classroom. Now, Woody, he can go to the nurse, because look at him. And I don't know if I'm happy about this or whatever, but I go to the nurse. Nurse is a woman, and I tell her like my balls hurt. Like I'm in a lot of pain. I've never had this before. Like this is bad. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want to inspect me because I'm like a 15-year-old boy, and she's a female nurse, and like whatever. So she calls a gym teacher over and says, check this guy out. Just like do the first inspection. And he kind of cradles me. And he's like, I don't know what's going on, but that's not right.
Gym? You brought me in from a kickball game?
I don't know what's going on, but that's not right, because one of my testicles was hard. I was going to say like a rock. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but way harder than a testicle should be. So they were actually kind of sensitive. They called an ambulance, and they had the ambulance like almost stashed a block or two away from the school so as not to draw attention. After all the periods changed, they snuck the ambulance in, and they snuck me out so that it wasn't like a big story across school. Like no one knew like what the scoop was. And, I was grateful for that or the rest of my high school years. Like no one was like, Woody, why did you go to the hospital? And I have to like make up some broken arm that cured in a day, or I don't know. So they raced me to the hospital, and I was in a lot of pain. And at this point I started like groaning and stuff like someone in pain might. And I remember the guy in the back was like, dude, like, this guy's not okay. Can you hit it? And he's like, we're already going like 80 and a 45. Like, I'm hitting it now. And I just remember that part of the conversation as we raced across the bridge to the hospital. I get in there, and my parents like instantly like zipped from wherever they were and met me in the hospital. And again, like I'm in there, and I'm just like, I'm in pain, so I'm groaning and I'm moaning. And I since I was a kid, I was like, am I like exaggerating this? Like, should I be silently suffering? And at one point, my father was like, keep up the groaning. Like this whole place is treating you like customer number one here. And they were like any doctor, any nurse, anything. Like I was just like priority number one patient as they're dealing with this. And they wheeled me into, I think it was called nuclear medicine. I don't know if they changed it at this point, but they put some sort of dye in me and checked out my blood flow. And sure enough, it was testicular torsion, which means that normally your ball
hangs in your scrotum, and there's like a vas deferens that sort of feeds it whatever blood supply it needs. And my vas deferens, is it just semen? My bio might be off. I just wanted to say semen. He was kind of choked off. So one of them had spun way too much, and that was why it was in so much trouble.
Oh.
It's like the vein or artery or whatever wasn't supplying it anymore. And the other one was at risk of it. Like, it had spun to some extent, but it was still working. So he unspun it in surgery, and he said they pinkened right up. And then he put a stitch in them so they can't spin anymore. And that was the solution. And I only mention it because, well, maybe I'm not as out there as you, but I feel like it's a thing people should know about. Like, hey, you know, if your testicle hurts, like, this could be happening to you. So, and by the way, I've gotten more than one letter from fans who were like, Woody, you saved my, you know, potential children. Like, now I'm fertile because I was aware of this and I got it treated quickly. So it made a difference.
No.
Has anyone here ever been in an ambulance?
No.
I don't think so.
I got oxygen out of the back of one once.
I've been in a
Oh, like
few.
stealing it?
Yeah, they weren't looking. Some guy had passed out. I was just free O2 for me.
Fucking retards. Carried it away.
They just leave it here unlocked.
Nah, when I broke my ankle or whatever. I was feeling a little nauseous, and the ambulance was already there. There's like ambulances already there for those baseball games. So like, I sat on the back step, and they gave me some oxygen.
Yeah, and I went. There was like a emergency ride, full sirens and everything for the testicular torsion I had as a teenager. That was
like the story.
Yeah, and when that guy broke my nose, I took an ambulance to the hospital for that too.
What's that game that you play on the playground where you've got the pole and the ball that's hanging from it?
Tetherball.
Yeah, that's always what I imagine when you talk about your testicular torsion. Is just someone went bow wow 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 and got the full wrap. God, it makes me nauseous every time that you tell that story. Last time you told it, I literally muted my microphone, my headset.
I misinterpreted this. So I was growing. I was in puberty and I was getting bigger, and I thought my pants were just too tight, and that was the cause of my pain.
Hold on. Can I lie down and point my toes while you tell the story?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, God. Oh, what?
I wasn't gonna go. It would be like
what happened?
The 14th telling. But yeah, I sat there in biology class, cold and clammy and white and in pain, and I thought, I was like, man, these pants are just too tight. I can't get the looseness I need. And yeah,
no, it was a grievous medical problem.
The doctor, not the doctor, the teacher had just rejected someone's like bathroom request or something like that. And it made me cautious about asking, but at some point it seemed like enough of an emergency that I was going to push through that. And she held me up as an example. She's like, look, everyone, this is a person who clearly does need to go to the nurse. And I'm like pale and sweating. And she's just like, I got a
What do you come stand up in front of the class? This will take 6 to 7 minutes, not any longer. Now,
that's pretty much how it went. Like, as she's writing the little nurse's slip, we needed a note to get in. You know, she's like, this person is not a faker, and held me up as an example. Yeah, the listeners of the show have heard it many times, and Kyle loves the story, but I had a testicular torsion when I was like 15 years old, which is in, I guess the details of this might be wrong, but I'm 90% right. I think my vas deferens was longer than most people, which allowed my testicle to like rotate in the scrotum. And imagine doing that with a garden hose. It gets like kinked up, and lost its blood supply, emergency surgery. But we're cool. Got 2 kids.
How did you know? Did it start hurting? Did it turn blue?
Yeah, it hurt a lot. And I was in 10th grade and maybe growing a lot, and my jeans were small for me. So I thought it might just be tight jeans. And I'm like working it. And it was in biology class, female biology teacher. And she was one of those teachers that was always strict about like going to the bathroom or like getting the nurse's guidance counselor pass or whatever. Like she didn't hand them out to anybody. And I'm in class and I'm in pain, and I know that she's a stickler about leaving the classroom. And the pain is awful.
And I go up there and I'm like, I need to go to the nurse's office. Right. And I just left it at that. I didn't tell her my testicle hurt in front of the classroom or anything. And she turns me around and says, class, look, do you see how he's sweating and how he's pale white? He clearly needs to go to the nurse's office. This is what you should look like if you have to go. And it's like, bitch, like I'm having testicle problems here, and you're making a show out of proper nurse office, like, I don't know, escalation procedures. And I went there. The nurse was a female, and she didn't want to examine me. Okay, whatever. So they brought in the gym teacher, and he felt me up.
Almost always the school pedophile, by the way.
Yeah, it worked for me. And one of them was, you know how if you hold a testicle, they're a little mushy, right?
Sure.
He's like, I don't know what's happening here, but one of those is hard, and this isn't right. And this is one thing they did really cool. They timed the ambulance arrival such that like everyone would be in class. They did it on the down low, and they brought an ambulance to the school. They like in such a way that there was no show. Nobody knew it was me getting taken away in the ambulance, and then we went. And I was in a lot of pain. So I was like moaning, like just expressing how awful this felt. And there was, if anyone knows, Ocean City 9th Street Bridge we took. It's like 50 miles an hour, 2 lanes each way. And the guy in the back with me is like, bro, this seems to be a problem. Can you step on it? And he's like, we're going 85 right now. You know, like we were hauling it, the sirens going and the lights on and everything. And yeah, if you're in pain like that, you get first priority at the hospital. Like everyone else moved aside. They it's called nuclear medicine. Halfway there. And they basically like injected something in my IV and saw where the blood went to. And I wasn't getting proper blood flow in that testicle. So, I mean, probably from the moment I rolled through the doors to the moment they made the first incision was 40 minutes, maybe less. Like they were hurrying. And
I'm imagining them unwinding it like you unwind a tether ball from the rope.
Yeah, that's about right. I remember the doctor was like, dude, it's good to be young. I'm 15 at this point. And he's like, I twirled it, and he's like, even as we're unwinding it, it was just pinkening up in my hand. And I still have like a stitch or two. They did the other one too, because they're like, it's a candidate for this problem. And I still have a stitch or two in my testicle that I can feel so that they never twist again.
A stitch that's lasted that long?
Yeah, they're meant to be lifetime stitches, I guess.
Good shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with my giant nut, I can't have a torsion because it's too big to rotate.
This is
and
like
it takes
a
up
superpower.
too much of the sack.
Right?
It's nice. And actually, when it first happened,